This month, I've been seeing an uptick on all social media platforms of observations, complaints, and pontification about the big therapy platforms. I mean the platforms that go out there, get customers, and then pay therapists to serve their customers. A lot of them are in app form. Now, most of you have probably noticed that there is a ton, and I mean hundreds of millions of dollars in investment coming into developing these huge therapy platforms that can offer customers access to a bunch of different therapists and offer therapists access to a bunch of different insurance panels or pay by the hour clients so they can serve more people. This trend isn't going to make your working conditions any better. It's going to make them worse. You see, for a lot of these platforms, the ones that aren't just service providers to therapists, but the ones that are actually collecting money from insurance or consumers themselves, they only care about a few things. How much do they need to spend in advertising or marketing to get a customer? How much money can they get from every customer? This is their revenue. The next most important thing they focus on is how much do the therapists who serve this customer cost me? The less you cost them, the more profit they make. When this is their model, there's only one outcome for therapists that's left: being squeezed. A big platform can say lots of things about how nice they are to therapists, but ultimately big platforms that have taken millions of dollars in investments truly only answer to one group of people: their investors. Their investors want their money back, and they want to make as much profit as they possibly can in as short a period of time as they can. So the first priority for the platform is to grow revenue. To do that, they need to invest a lot of money into marketing. But in order to actually earn that revenue, they also need you, the therapist, to come onto their platform. So they make offers for you to join them. And as they do this on a very grand scale, they gobble up a lot of the market share. So revenue growth starts to slow down as their rate of growth starts to slow down because they've got more and more of the market already on their platform. This is where the scales tip, and this is where it gets bad for the therapists. The investors then start to demand that the CEO and the management team find more ways to grow profit. And so they are then able to take that profit for themselves or build the value of the company so they can sell their piece of it at a massive markup. One of the primary ways they have to do that is to put pressure on the therapists that they already have to accept lower and lower outpayments. This is exactly what happened to Uber drivers. When Uber was growing about 10 or 11 years ago, I'm sure a lot of you saw articles about how Uber drivers were making six figures in revenue. I saw offers to drive in the suburbs that were guaranteeing these drivers $40 per hour or more in order to come onto the platform. Once they reach that critical mass, now you see that their drivers are making less than $20 an hour, and they have to pay by themselves to maintain their own cars and for their own gas. This is the next stage for therapists who are on these platforms. You're going to be squeezed more and more and more. They may even start to play you off against people from other economies who they can pay far less. And if you don't believe me, look at what happened with nurses in the pandemic. For years, big healthcare pushed back on nurses, refusing to improve their working conditions, giving all kinds of excuses as to why they couldn't pay more. But in the background, they were kind of operating like a cabal to make sure that no healthcare organization broke that mold and pushed the cost of nurses up in the industry. Nurses then just said, well, I guess this is how it is. Well, this is the working conditions in our industry. And during the pandemic, up to 20% of nurses reached this level where they said, you know what? Nursing isn't worth it for me anymore. I don't care anymore. I quit. And with 1 in 5 nurses quitting, all of a sudden, then and only then, did the healthcare organizations decide to do something. They saw a total collapse of their business model coming because when there's no nurses, there's no patients, and when there's no patients, there's no revenue for them. Guess what? The healthcare organizations miraculously found more money to pay nurses better and improve their condition. The same thing's going to happen with big therapy. The people with the leverage have the power. And so long as big therapy owns the customer, they can squeeze you all as individuals, and then they will dictate your working conditions. But the moment you start to say no and look at other options for you to move your career is the moment these conditions will miraculously improve. So what is the root of this? I'm going to call it what it is. The root of this problem, at least from the perspective of mental health professionals, is actually grounded in fear. Therapists are taught nothing in school about how to market themselves or bring clients. They could be in the mid six figures if all of you guys know what I know. But the industry really doesn't want you to have the skills to really know how to bring premium clients to yourself on your own. Big therapy platforms want you to rely on them for your livelihood so they can control you, because you haven't learned what all your options are for the directions you can take your career once you are qualified. You haven't learned the essential skills of how to bring people to what it is that you offer. And so therefore you have to rely on other platforms in order to give it to you. And when you're too reliant, they have you, the writing is on the wall. So there are three things you need to focus on if you want to never end up in this position where you're relying on a company for clients and that company starts to squeeze you more and more and more and pay you less and less and less. First thing you need to do is you need to learn how to position yourself so people can see the real value of working with you. They will not understand it on their own. You have to teach it to them. You need to be able to tell people and describe to people the value of what you offer and then offer your service to them. I see a lot of posts out there from therapists saying people undervalue therapy. Well, it's actually your fault, because people won't do the homework they need to understand the value of it. You need to become capable of communicating to people how you help them out of the pain they are in and what are the possibilities for their life once they've resolved these issues. If you can effectively paint that picture for them, then they will not only invest in you, they'll pay what you ask for, they'll jump over any hoop that you put there in terms of how they can work with you, and they'll be motivated to actually do what it is that you're teaching them to do. Second thing you need to learn is ways to bring clients to you independently. It needs to not matter what platform you're available on. People need to want to hire you, not interact with some big brand. When you can do this, you can basically choose any platform you want, because now all that platform is a billing mechanism for you. And the customer is attached to you and not some big company. And then third, you need to vary your business model, otherwise this industry will burn you out. You have to create new streams of income. My favorite is coaching, training, or consulting programs, because you can charge a premium rate like $2,500 and above per client and serve your clients in a single group, which cuts your clinical hours down. And the messages in your marketing for a program like this touch more people's lives than you will ever know. If you can dedicate a portion of your time every week to acquiring these three skills, I promise you it doesn't matter what the big therapy platforms do. You will have all the options you need to only accept the best possible deal for yourself. You'll dictate which clients you want. You'll decide for yourself if accepting insurance is worth the hassle or aligns with your values. Instead of owning a job, you will own a real business that you can scale up so it's as big as you want while setting the hours that you work. This is not possible until you choose to empower yourself. You need to acquire the skills that you need to be able to choose your own fate. Big therapy, in fact, all big business disempowers what costs them money as much as they can, and they will always do that. Entrepreneurial therapists are the group who will win out because they are the ones who are able to figure out how to take control of their circumstances, and then they do what it takes to create the best outcomes for themselves. It's half mindset, half method. And if you're willing to choose this mindset, and you do want to learn a method that could completely change your financial reality, let you make more impact in the world, and do it while reducing the clinical hours you need to work, perhaps my training on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time is for you, because I'll be teaching a group of mental health professionals how to create your own group coaching, training, or consulting programs. I'll show you how to charge a premium for the work that you do and to give you the work-life balance necessary for you to be able to be at the best in all areas of your life: family, finances, and in the contribution you make into the world. If you want to join me, use the link under this video to join us and bring your questions as I'll be taking them live.